Hey guys, Kelade here, back with another Mythic Plus commentary, this time with a plus 15 Halls of Valor. We haven't done a Halls of Valor in a while, and you can see this is um, Teaming, Necrotic, and Tyrannical. So I would generally recommend people don't do Halls of Valor at all, but we were kind of short on time this week, and we had to do a plus 15 key relatively fast. And it kind of gives us another good intro into Halls of Valor again, since maybe with how Blizzard is changing the AP gains, it might be better for you to run Halls of Valor in the future, since Blizzard is making it so the longer Mythic Pluses gives you more artifact power. So you see here in the beginning, those two packs that we're skipping with the Invis potions are pretty nasty. So we have the gold. You might as well just skip those guys with the Invis pots. It makes the run much easier, much smoother. You will be kind of low on percentage in the later stages, but not a big deal. You'll see that we do make it up with the ads that we pick. So the first boss, Hymdall, he's relatively easy, especially if your group is stacked kind of the way ours is, where you have one healer and you have a bunch of melee. Hymdall's always going to throw his weapon at the range or healer, right? So since we only have one, we can dictate where every single one goes. And then you just have to watch out when he summons the drakes that you guys aren't in that aisle that he summons. I think we get pretty lucky this run. The first one, as you guys saw, it went down the middle, so we didn't really have to move, and the tornadoes are right there for us to look at. And then, as you see here in the upcoming Horn of Valor, he's gonna put one, I think, in the middle, and then at the end, and then the one that we're at. So it's pretty much the best spawn. Very little movement required for us. I think I stood in that same place for like 80% of the fight. So yeah, this boss definitely is harder if you can't do the mechanics, but he's definitely not one of the threatening bosses in this dungeon, as you'll see later on, where I think Hyrja is probably going to be the hardest boss in this dungeon just because of the mechanic that she does and the healing that's required. But as you can see, you get him 20%. Reminder that this guy stops at 10%, so we are looking pretty good to go for here. The thing with Halls of Valor is that there's a lot of casters and there's a lot of ads, especially on a week like teaming. It really adds up, no pun intended, of how many like just ads there are. As you'll see, once we get up, we're gonna pull these three guys on the left here. Once we pull them, the pack that's behind them is gonna be gigantic, right? So I tell my group, make sure you get all of your AOE stuff, ready and saved up for the next fight. So as you can see, I don't know if you saw, but I right after the boss pull, I equip my Windscar Whetstone, and I'm saving all of my cooldowns. So the instant we do the next pull, I'll have everything up. And make sure you guys walk those thunder things out of your group, of course, so they don't get stunned with you. Especially if you're a full melee stack like us, you don't want to stun your entire group with it. There's a lot of kicks that needs to happen. That Thunderbolt, the Thundercolor's Thunderbolt that you guys are seeing, especially on fortified, that does a lot of damage, especially with raging, especially if they're bolstered. So at one point, once you guys have kicked, all of the casters, all of the healers, you also want to start interrupting those thunderous bolts too, because they do a lot. So you hear we, grip them all together with the Death Knight, and we actually planned out our stuns. We had the Demon Hunter stun first, and then I Shockwave right afterwards, and then we kind of just go ham on all of the ads, trying to interrupt every heal, but unfortunately there is a heal right here on X. I didn't have an interrupt, trying to call for an interrupt. This right here cast goes off. So they heal for a little bit, but we do manage to kind of get through the pack despite it, and we do end up killing them. I don't think we have a single death. And of course, since this is Necrotic, you're going to see our tank just running in circles around the mobs a lot. And this is where Piercing Hawk really comes into play. Even though Piercing Hawk is one of the worser slows as in regards to how much it slows an ad by, it's only like 50%. The fact that it's an AoE slow is great, right? I can slow all those ads for our tank. She can just run around and not take a single necrotic stack and let it drop off. So Holy Radiance is like that healing spell, like that's the one you want to interrupt. In this hallway, a lot of the ads, as you can see, what we just did on this pull can be line of sight pulled, right? So that we're fighting them out here instead of in the hallway where the sentinels might aggro, where a stray AoE might aggro another pack. So that's generally not an issue for us since we're all melee, right? But if you have like a range in a group that could accidentally pull, would be a problem. But this room is also easier with a Death Knight. The left side is not as big of a deal, but when you get to the right side of the hallway where there's those archers and there's more casters, then if you can't line of sight them, then you do want a Death Knight to grip them. So I did tell our tank to aggro this champion on purpose, since he doesn't really do much. He's just like another melee. He doesn't cast anything really. Decide to just get him in here and just AoE this guy down with the rest of them. The rest of this hallway is pretty simple. I think we do end up killing this, and then the right ad, since we have a rogue, just for safety, we sap the ad that's closest to kind of like the corner. If you guys have any CCs that would prevent you from getting in combat, you guys should use that too. Of course, you can just walk by sometimes without aggroing, but it's kind of iffy in kind of their aggro radius. So if you guys do have some sort of CC, I would definitely suggest it. I think right here, I think our healer just got hit with a Thunderous Bolt, and he kind of just got, I think, one shot because he died really fast. I didn't even notice there how fast he died. But luckily, we didn't want him to res in the beginning because we skipped those ads. So luckily, I have the engineering res, and we got him with the engineering. That always feels good when you're able to res your healer with engineering. It does feel like you're contributing more to the dungeon than you could be. So yeah, those two guys, I'm telling them to try to CC that champion, but we have Shroud, so we're good to go here. We were thinking about shrouding past these three guys, but we were like, well, what happens if we come back, right? Because you're gonna have to come back this way. So we didn't really use our shroud to any advantage, but we don't really need it for the rest of the fight anyways, because you'll see that we're lacking on credit for enemy forces, so we're gonna be kind of fighting essentially every single ad that we encounter, and even pulling more than we need to. These shield maidens, they do work on your tanks. They cast a debuff that greatly reduces your tank's defenses. So I noticed my tank was trying to get off in a corner and reset, and an ad was getting close. And as a Fury warrior, you have access to taunt, so just taunt that ad away from your tank and just kind of sit in a corner and let that ad run slowly back to you. By that time that ad reaches to you, your tank most likely has already had their debuffs fall off, necrotic stacks fall off, so you're good to go for a tank to aggro them right back. So definitely don't forget that our taunt is really powerful, especially for necrotic week. It can save a lot of tank deaths. And also, it can greatly increase the speed at which you guys can pull, right? Like, if you know that you have one ad left, your tank has like 3 seconds left on a necrotic, and you see an ad, getting close to your tank, just taunt it right off. This ad is relatively easy. I don't think this guy gets a single Blast of Light cast off, because I think we just CC and grip him every time he even tries to. As far as the two kind of mini bosses, I guess, before the boss, the left side is always going to be easiest. The right side is kind of hard, especially since we're triple melee, and it's kind like it is possible to DPS the guy while he's doing his I don't know what it's called, but when he like summons the little beams out from himself, it is possible to be in melee range and still DPS him and still dodge them, but it requires really good management of your character. Sometimes it's like I just don't even bother doing it. A lot of times I just stand close enough to him and whirlwind. Your whirlwind does just know that your whirlwinds do have a slightly longer range than your auto attacks and abilities. So for a lot of cases, you'll see like in this video when I'm on that guy, and further on when I do more Mythic Plus videos, is that a lot of times if I can't physically hit the guy with melees or other abilities, I would just use whirlwind, right? Another good pack that I'll have a video for in the future is for Arcway. Those spiders that explode when they die, you can use whirlwind. You can actually whirlwind as you're running away, and you will actually do the whirlwind damage, but you will be far enough to where they don't explode on you. As you can see, he's gonna do the thing, and the sanctify, that's what it's called. And all three melee is gonna be kind of, we want to hit the guy. I can hit him with some spells, but it's getting kind of iffy, and we're hitting those things, so we just all kind of back out a little bit. As far as for this boss fight is concerned, the upcoming boss fight, you do want to hold her on the left side, on the first ad that we killed, because that side allows you more uptime on the boss because you don't have to run out for sanctified. We were thinking on a plus 15 tyrannical, whether or not we could just hold her there for 2 casts of her abilities. because I think previously when we last did Halls of Valor, she hit like a truck. But the damage of this has been nerfed since then. Like we haven't done halls in a while, and you'll see later on our Demon Hunter actually. I mean, this is his like alt slash new main. He hasn't even done a Mythic Halls of Valor ever, and you'll see him get the achievement afterwards. But that is one thing, that skill right there, that Arcing Bolt, especially with the full melee stack that we have. I mean, the first one was pretty brutal. All three of us got hit by it, but you'll see later on, we kind of realized that we should probably stop splashing that amongst each other. So you kind of just want to spread your melee out a little bit. So I come over to the right side a little bit, and then I think I'm not sure if she casts an Arcing Bolt right away again, but whenever she does cast it again, you'll see that I think only one or two people get hit by this. Yeah, only the Demon Hunter gets hit by it. So we do move out far enough to not get hit. So we're taking two out of the storms. You know, if our healer says he can take it, he can take it, right? So if he knows he can heal through this, we're good to go. So after this out of the storm, you want to of course not stand in front of the boss because your tank is gonna stand position herself so that way she gets blown across the room. That way the boss moves faster. Because the worst thing you want to do for this fight is to have the boss stay in the middle of the room, right? Where she's getting both this kind of yellow buff and then the left side is kind of whitish lightning buff. The difference thing about Mythic Plus in this fight is she does, when she puts that little sphere around you where you have to get out of the group or you damage whoever's in it, it does have 3 charges. But I've never had it go on me once I've had it, right? So like if I start off with it, I can always be sure that the second two won't be mine. So if you're ever gonna pop cooldowns like this Expel Light, you don't want. So now that I've already had it, I can know that I can pop cooldowns because I've never seen it come back to the guy that started with the debuff. But we haven't done this place too many times for me to confirm that. This is probably like our first halls run in like 3 months probably, just because we really don't like doing this dungeon. But we do manage to kill Hyrja. Definitely much easier than we thought and then we remembered. I mean, I think kind of engraved to everybody's minds is how hard Halls is. But as you'll see in this in our run here, it doesn't look too bad. Could be that we are much more geared than when we first came here, but it definitely seems to be easier than we had remembered. As we're running back here, we're going to Fenryr, just run through the halls, of course. I think we do end up pulling some Sentinels just because we realize we're going to need a credit because we're only at 43% credit and we're going to Fenryr where you could actually skip a lot of the trash, especially with a rogue because he can even sap the bulls. So we just don't even fight any trash except for like 3 wolves. But we see that we are low on credit, so we're going to pull some extra trash here. Unfortunately, I don't know what's up with my graphics in this video, so you'll see that I'm not seeing that zone AoE that these sentinels are doing. You'll see it once they start casting it. I just don't see it. So I do end up taking some of the damage. Luckily, I have so much HP. Like this charge pulse, right? Generally, there's a circle around it and the marks where it goes, but I guess I turned my graphics to a setting where I didn't see them. So unfortunately, they won't be on for the rest of the instance. I've had some questions about what's that add-on on the right that's showing, Halls of Valor, showing level 15. It's showing you the 3 different timers, and that's called Angry Keystones, right? There's 3 timers, so obviously the shortest time, that's how long you have left until your 3 key is done. The next marker is for 2 keys, and then past that is just 1 key / completion. Obviously, it shows you all of the affixes, and it's really good for looking at future weeks affixes. If you just like go to your Mythic Plus like interface when you press I, it'll show you like this week's and then like 4 weeks down the line or something like that. And obviously, it has the really cool part of showing you how much percentage each mob gives. So like when you see the tooltip right there on the bottom right, when I'm hovering over the ads, you'll see that 1.45 percentage. That's really useful for making sure that you're pulling ads that you need, right? And you'll see us do it in the future here where when we get close to 100%, we'll be doing some quick maths on what ads to pull to perfectly hit that 100% enemy forces. So getting close to finishing out, this hallway, about to go into Fenryr. Rune Carver is getting down, and then this ad pack. So the thing that you want to be careful here is the Valorjar and Marksman. They have a skill called Penetrating Shot that they aim at the tanks. It's mainly for tanks to kind of pay attention to. because that shot, it's essentially a skill shot. If anybody plays any like MOBAs or League of Legends, right? She aims it at the tank, and if you don't move out, you get hit by a lot of damage. And a lot of times, if you're not full HP, you could get one shot by it. Similarly, if you're a DPS, you want to make sure you see where she's aiming and don't stand in front of it. Like this right here, this penetrating shot, it just kind of like beams in front of. It's not like it's a beam, but she just shoots it out in the position she's already aiming, so you can actually dodge the ability. Right. So we're coming into this place. This is where we're kind of seeing, oh shit, we only have 63% credit. Should we start pulling some bulls? Oh man, bulls only give 1.45, same as the guys, so it's not really worth it. And always in Mythic Plus, Fenryr always spawns on the right side, so you never have to like look for him, right? I know on Heroic and on Normal mode, he can spawn on the left and right side. I really don't know why they did that, especially because for Mythic Plus, they're gonna make him spawn on the same side. You'll see our party's having some trouble jumping on here, so I try to get on my Mammoth to get him on there, but then I'm having trouble getting my guys off. And by the time I eject both of them, everybody has already made it on top. For Fenrir, this is a really easy boss fight, especially in the beginning here. He literally does, I mean, almost no mechanics, right? All he does is that one charge where he picks like 2 to 3 targets of your party and then he lunges at them. Because this piercing how he doesn't summon ads until when he gets to that second part where he runs off, right? So this Ravenous Leap, you just want to make sure you're not stacking, because the instant he jumps to a guy and he does that Ravenous Leap, he like AoEs a little bit. So if you guys are all stacked together and he leaves on 3 people in that stack, everybody will get 3. Whereas here, you see everybody only has one debuff, so that's good. And then I think this guy, I'm pretty sure 60% is the part where he phases. Let's see if he does phase in 5 more%. And at that point, he clears all dots and all damage, so you don't want to like keep damaging him further, right? 60%, he just clears all of your dots. You see all the DK dots go off. Here I was just checking if the deer gave any credit, and unfortunately they don't. And this is where like I had the suggestion, hey, maybe let's pull all the wolves, right? Because we're kind of low on credit, and these wolves are easy. But our tank's like, let's just take 3. These are the 3 that we would normally pull if we were just doing this dungeon normally. And, and we see that once they're out of the stun lock right here from the Demon Hunter stun, they're gonna start just really chunking the tank. And I think before we even stun, she realized how much damage they were doing. So we just end up not pulling. I don't think we end up pulling any more wolves because each of their melees were doing way too much damage because they have that stacking thing that they're doing too, along with necrotic. And I was pretty wrong. So okay, we didn't pull all the wolves, but we do pull the second pack of wolves. And you can see the tank dipped really far, right? Just from I think 2 seconds of the wolves hitting her. So definitely you want to stun these whenever you guys can. And as a note, always like if you can stun 3 targets in a Mythic Plus, you generally should just do it because it puts our shockwave on a 20-second cooldown. That's really really low. So if you can do 20-second shockwaves, that's literally up for every single trash pull. For this boss, I do like to generally I think save my kind of cooldowns with Odin's Fury for when he summons the ads. It just happens that I will have everything up right here. Just let me pop my cooldowns. Of course, whenever you're doing like this AoE burst window, you just put Odin's Fury ahead of your Wrath of Souls if you have that. Unfortunately, I was channeling Wrath of Souls, so I couldn't get out of that leap, so I did get a debuff, even though I wasn't targeted. And then here he does this thing where what is it called? Scent of Blood, right? That's the name of the skill. He picks a target. Um, all the guy that so you don't need to run around with the buff. See our rogue just evasions and tanks the boss. That's all you have to do, right? If you have a defensive, pop it, right? If you're if you're a Fury Warrior and I had the debuff, I would just pop in rage regeneration, take 30% less damage and heal myself for all the damage that he's gonna do to me anyways, right? If you're any class, I mean, pretty much every single class has a defensive. So just use your defensives there, and then he won't kill you, and your party won't have to chase him around, and you'll get the boss killed faster. Alright, so he does go down right here. I was kind of focusing on the executes because the ads disappear when he dies anyway, so I didn't bother, and it looked like our tank was fine with necrotic stacks. So here we're trying to look for more things. I think we do end up pulling one of the bulls just because we realize, hey, let's just get this guy just for credit, and it actually does work really well in our favor because we pull the trappers too because they're relatively easy. You'll see in the end I think we do perfectly hit 100. percentage. While we're going back through this, while we're going to the next boss, kind of speaking, I just mentioned execute briefly. I'll make kind of a video on this more officially later on. I just don't have the footage to really do it. But executes rotation does change a little bit from my 7.1.5 guide. If you have the 2-piece or more. When I say more, obviously if you have 4-piece, it's more than 2-piece, right? 2-piece with a legendary helm is more than a 2-piece. But at the minimum, you need the 2-piece, and you can do this. What you do is you just stop. Essentially, you put Raging Blow at the lowest priority in execute phase, and you put Furious Slash above it. So, and you always want to try to buff your Bloodthirst with Furious Slash. So what this does is what this kind of priority is doing is you're placing the huge value on Furious Slash, letting you auto enrage, not auto enrage, but giving you a huge amount of crit on your Bloodthirsts, right? And that was gonna enrage you. And when you enrage, obviously, you not only do you deal more damage, but you also gain more rage, right? Because you're hitting 100% of your attack speed, so you're just getting double the range from rage from attack speed. So that's the thing. So essentially, when I'm really like when I'm at 0 rage, essentially my rotation becomes something like Fear Slash, Bloodthirst, and then Execute. And I kind of just spam those. Especially if I'm not in rage, I will keep doing that and I'll save a little rage. And then, but of course, once you're in rage, just keep executing. Like if you're in rage, you just press execute if you can. So that is a change that you guys can make. It does provide a nice boost of DPS, kind of prioritizing that Furious Slash and making sure you're buffing your Bloodthirst with Furious Slash. There is kind of a slight variation to that, which is whether or not if you have Bloodthirst up, whether or not you just hit Bloodthirst, or if you buff it with the Furious Slash first. So currently on the Sims, the logic is you just hit Bloodthirst first, and it does come out to be an average overall DPS. But I generally don't. I wouldn't recommend you guys do that because the problem with prioritizing Bloodthirst before hitting a Furious Slash first to buff it is that you're still at the mercy of just normal Bloodthirst crit. And since we really don't want crit, we don't have that much crit. So if you didn't press Furious Slash, your crit just has, you know, your crit on Bloodthirst, just whatever your crit is. And for me and for most people, it's not above 30%, right? It's like 20% or 14%, something like that. So it's not going to be guaranteed, crits. And if you hit 2 Bloodthirsts in execute phase and you don't crit, and you're hitting Furious Slash in between there, you most likely won't even have the rage to press execute, and you can drop stacks that way. So the way that I'm kind of mentioning is that you should always put a Furious Slash in front of your Bloodthirst. That will kind of almost guarantee that you'll crit with it. And in those situations, you won't drop Juggernaut. And it's only like it's very very minimal DPS kind of loss doing that, but I think the safety of being able to keep your Juggernaut stacks is much much more worth how much DPS that gives you. So as you can see, the last 2 Sentinels, 97%. This guy gives I think 3 something and perfect. We did finish with 100% enemy forces. Because the 4 ads that are back here, they don't give percentage. So you want to make sure that you're 100 before you go up these stairs, because you're you waste a lot of time going up these stairs and then coming back down, right? Because you can't turn around while you're going up. As far as we know, I haven't tried turning around, but so we're up to these ads. The order that we do these 4 ads is generally we get the right guy first, and then we get the left guy first, and then we do the 2 middle guys together. Just because when they die, they all give kind of different buffs and abilities to everybody else. And I think this is the guy that gives everybody the ability to summon ads, I think, which is really easy because we just ignore the ads, right? Normally we just kind of kite the ads around, but this run, our Wrestle Shaman, our Wrestle Druid is pretty good. He's literally rooting like every single ad, vortexing every single ad, so we're good to go there. Alright, so after kill that guy, we go to this guy on the left. You'll see something interesting is that he's gonna try to summon ads. I don't know if we like bugged this out or what happened, but watch him summon this call ancestor. It's gonna go to the top right into that corner and no ad spawns. So we don't know if that's a bug or what happened there, but he's gonna do it again. He's gonna summon in that corner, and no ad is gonna spawn. You guys will see it. I'm not sure what that was. Trying to hope we're not gonna get banned for this because we have no idea what this bug is or what caused this. You'll see it again. Go into the corner and nothing shows up. So no idea. So you have these two ads left. It doesn't really matter what order you kill them. We generally kind of burn them down at the same time. Not necessarily on purpose, but kind of always ends up how it is. Though we do normally kill one while the other one's still at like 30% HP. You want to make sure, of course, that you do assign different people to different interrupts. You don't want this unholy yell to go off. It is not a good time if it does. So we just make sure that we're interrupting them correctly. I think our row called that he was interrupting Skull, so then we just all interrupted the other guy essentially. You see our Druid is doing a good job of seizing an ad. Roots one and Vortex is the other, so they're never getting here. Our Death Knight also put her, D&D there, so that way they get slowed. And the good thing about these guys is once you kill them, the ads they summon obviously disappear, so there's less things to deal with here. Um, while this is going on, kind of want to talk about the tier set bonuses that we talked about in the previous video. Right, like don't jump to conclusions too fast because this is just on the PTR, and I think Blizzard even has a blue post that came out and said, hey, we're still working on tier, not everything is ready, but let's hope they kind of change our four piece a little bit because right now our four piece is not really strong. Like I mentioned in the video, I think the four piece it's literally the worst version of our legendary helmet. So it's like why would we even wear the four piece when we can just put on the helmet and that takes one piece, right? You can put on the helmet and put on a different four piece, right? I can be wearing the helmet and I'll have essentially a better version of the tier 24 piece, and I can put on Titan Force tier 19 and have better and do more DPS. So I mean we'll see if they change it. Kind of see what Blizzard does. Of course, let them know if you guys are unhappy with it. This boss is relatively easy. The only thing is, so since we have a full melee comp, you want to kind of make sure that not everybody is getting fell rushes. Also, I pulled aggro there somehow. So since we have 3 melee, I told them beforehand on Discord that I was gonna go to the left and the rogue's gonna go on the right and the demon hunter is gonna stay behind the boss. That way we kind of have a designated area where we're all gonna go. So that way we just dodge in our direction, right? So when he casts the fell rush, if he's casting on the rogue, I just run more to the left and I'm already good to go since I'm already there. Of course, this is also your tanks needs to obviously use that shield mechanic when he does Ragnarok. If you guys are ever tanking or if you guys have a tank, you want to that you're communicating with, you want to tell them to kind of take a step up when they use Ragnarok, because sometimes some tanks just tank the boss at max melee distance and they put their Ragnarok up, and you might not be able to melee the boss and still be shielded. So just terror tank to take a few steps up. That way won't be a big deal. But generally, I mean, this guy's pretty easy. As long as the Fell Rush isn't one-shotting anybody, you're good to go. I mean, the Ragnarok, I don't even know. I don't even think this does any damage because the shield protects us from, yeah, essentially all of it. So this guy is a pretty big pushover. Let's see, once he gets down, I think if people meme about this guy's entrance. I do think it's pretty interesting. Oh, if you guys are, for all the viewers out there, this is the guy that drops part of our hidden artifact appearance, right? So if you guys don't have those axes yet and you guys are looking for them, you're gonna be needing to run Halls of Valor. You can get it in Mythic Plus. I got mine in a Mythic Plus, so you're definitely getting a double credit essentially if you're doing Halls of Valor Mythic Plus, because not only are you doing a Mythic Plus, but you're also getting that chance to drop your hidden artifact item, which you need the haft from God King, and then you also need the two dragon world boss heads and skulls essentially. And I guess you essentially kill them and you take their skulls and you put it on your weapon. As far as Odin is concerned, I think somebody put markers up, just like how we do Mythic Odin, so you can see that they're all marked. That obviously does make the fight easier when all the markers are up, because then you can easily just see the beam and see the color that comes out. I don't know if they've normalized it yet, but on Odin, so on Odin you can always start off with Battle Cry. First of all, you can always start with Battle Cry and Odin's Fury, because he doesn't do the rune until like I think 40 seconds or 50 seconds in the fight, by which time you'll have Battle Cry up again. So I don't pop Death of Souls or Avatar, but you can definitely at pull on this Odin fight, do Battle Cry and Odin's Fury. They will be up when you need them. So I don't know what the order, if the order is normalized yet, but when we previously did halls, I mean this is the first time we're doing it in months, is that previously he sometimes summons the ad first, and then he sometimes does that explosion first. This time he did the explosion and then summoned the ad, which I think is definitely the easier way, because you can just safely run out and just hang out there. Whereas if he summons the ad and you run out, now you have to worry about trying to interrupt that ad or stun the ad while you're in range. Especially since we have a full main stack, like I mentioned, that is kind of difficult. But even if that was an issue, it wouldn't be too bad for our group, since we do have a Death Knight to grip the guy, and that obviously would stop spell casting and move him. So right here is, once you get the runes, you get a super damage buff, right? And that's when I was saving all my buffs for, and then after I get the buff, you pop all your cooldowns for him. And then of course, you always want to kill the ad if you can, and you interrupt the ad whenever, because I mean this is I think one of the easiest achievements in the game almost. All you have to do is just keep that guy interrupted, and then never let him cast once. Of course, I was thinking about whether or not I use leap there to get out of the circle, and I figured it was just worth it, because I was already kind of late. Luckily, my runes spawned pretty close, so I can just easily get it and charge to the boss. Don't forget he dies at 80%, so we're pretty much good to go. Pretty good to see that we were able to, do this dungeon with relative ease. And I think it was much harder than we thought. And here, our Demon Hunter just got his Mythic Keystone achievement, because I think he's never done it on his Demon Hunter character yet. But yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know, guys, what you guys think about it. If you guys, like more of these commentaries. But as always, thanks for watching the video. See you guys. Oh, before I leave, I did get Kill Jaden's Burning Wish from this dungeon. So that is my 7th legendary. I'll play with it around a little bit. I will be using it in the next video that I have. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. See ya.